Hello everyone. Today's story is the third and last story I have for you from the Little People Big Dreams series that I have been reading to you. We have read about Amelia Earhart and Marie Curie, and today we're going to read about Ada Lovelace. That's a nice name, isn't it? So today's story is about a lady who was an English writer and mathematician who went on to become the world's first computer programmer back in 1840. So I think it's quite fascinating to think that even back almost 200 years ago, the wheels for computer programming were in motion. And of course, in today's world, we know how much we rely on computers and technology. So what is computer programming? Well, computer programming is writing a group of instructions for a computer to process. So for example, at school this year, we actually did some computer programming when we used Bbots. Do you remember we had to key in the instructions and directions into the Bbot, and then they would move in the direction we wanted them to? So that's a very simple explanation and example of computer programming. The book today is written by Maria Isabel Sanchez Vergara again, and illustrations are by Zafuko Yamamoto. Very, very pretty illustrations. Once again, at the back, there is a longer biography about Ada. I will read it, so if you're interested, keep listening at the end. Ada Lovelace. The end page is full of sums there, which is a hint as to what is in the story. Ada Lovelace was born in England to a mother who loved maths and a father who loved poetry. Ada's father left England when she was very little and never returned. Her mother was away a lot too. So young Ada spent a lot of time at her grandparents' house. A cat called Mrs. Puff kept her company. Left alone, Ada's imagination took flight. She started to dream of machines with wings that could move in any direction. When Ada's mother came to visit, she didn't like her imaginary inventions. She wanted her to concentrate on maths and logic and nothing else. Luckily, Ada liked numbers and was very good at solving mathematical problems. When she was 14, Ada became sick. She had to spend a lot of time resting in bed, but she kept studying, inventing, and dreaming. Mrs. Puff still keeping her company. After 3 long years, Ada got better. She went to London and was introduced to a famous mathematician called Charles Babbage. Mr. Babbage told Ada he was building a big machine that could add together sums, called a calculator. I think we've all heard of that. But have a look at the calculator back in 1830s. Very different to what it looks like today, isn't it? But this was the beginning of the calculator. The calculator could do sums so quickly, it was like magic. Most people couldn't understand how it worked. But Ada was fascinated. Ada thought she could use maths to make the calculator do even more amazing things. She wrote a code made up of numbers that would tell the calculator what to do. And that's the beginning of computer programming as we know it. Ada didn't know it, but she had just invented the language that computers use today. Little Ada, who loved both numbers and poetry, had become the world's first computer programmer. She showed that when you use science and imagination, your dreams can take flight. I hope you enjoyed that short story, girls. Here we have some pictures of Ada through the years: 1819, 1832, 1840 and 1845. Augusta Ada Byron was born in London in 1815. Her mother, Lady Byron, was a talented mathematician who loved logic. Her father, Lord Byron, was a famous poet. Young Ada and her mother moved to her grandparents' house in the country when Ada was young. Her mother was often away, so she was looked after by her grandmother or governess. Lady Byron was worried Ada would inherit her father's mad love for poetry, so she encouraged her to learn mathematics. This was unusual for a young girl at that time, and especially unusual because Ada was from a noble family. Aged 12, Ada started to dream of flying machines. She studied the way birds flew and wrote down her thoughts in a book called Flyology. But when she was 14, Ada became sick with measles and had to spend a long time resting in bed. She recovered by the age of 17 and went to London. There she was introduced to Charles Babbage, a famous mathematician and inventor. He was building a large calculator called a difference engine. Ada was fascinated and asked Babbage to show her how the machine worked. Ada and Babbage became friends and worked on plans for a new machine. In 1840, Ada wrote a new code that could tell the machine what to do. She believed anything could be turned into numbers and programmed into a machine. With this idea, Ada had become the world's first computer programmer. Her work led to the invention of the very first computer over 100 years later. I hope that you enjoyed the story. Bye.